We have never seen a player carry a team like this. It was the most masterful individual season that we've ever seen. The performances, the nuances, the drama, and the history that was made. It's true when they say that records are meant to be broken, but it's going to be extremely hard for anyone to top what Tim Duncan accomplished in the 2002/03 season. The question we must answer first is, what drove Tim Duncan to such a legendary season? One of the motivating factors was David Robinson announcing that this would be his final season. He wasn't just trying to win a title for his running mate, but also trying to prove a group of people wrong. It all started when Phil Jackson mentioned that the 1999 title the Spurs won deserved an asterisk. That doesn't hold the same weight since they won during the shortened lockout season. From the moment he made that quote, the Phil Jackson coached Lakers won 3 straight titles. The Spurs kept falling short. But we have considered the David Robinson/Tim Duncan era of the Spurs as underachievers if they never won another championship. That might have been at the back of his mind. During the regular season, he played with a purpose. It was all about putting his team in the best position to win a title. He was a dominant force on both ends of the floor. Here were his averages: 23.3 points, 12.9 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 2.9 blocks per game. He finished 7th in points, 3rd in rebounds, and 3rd in blocks per game. Although his per game numbers don't exactly pop out the screen, he did lead the Spurs to the best record in the league. They won 60 games. This was a notable accomplishment considering the type of talent that was on the team. David Robinson was 37 years old and in his final year. Tony Parker was in his 2nd season, and Manu Ginobili was a rookie. This was not the same team that won championships in 2005 and 2007. They showed flashes of what they would end up looking like, but their success started and ended with the greatness of Tim Duncan. The way he led his team was a big factor in why he won the MVP in a very competitive race. Players such as Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, and Kevin Garnett had career years. Their numbers were much more enticing, but they were unable to push their teams to dominant seasons. The Spurs didn't have an advantage in the talent department. They just had a player that knew how to get the best of his teammates. You could take it from me, or from the well-respected writer S.L. Price, wrote for Sports Illustrated. This is what he said about the big fundamental when he was named Sports Person of the Year. Quote, "As a player, Duncan is a breed unto himself, a 7-footer who can score from the post, the perimeter, and whose transcendent passing skills and underrated ball handling make him the funnel through which the Spurs offense flows. Beyond that, he has a quality most respected in the league. He's a winner. Shaq is an unstoppable force, but Duncan is the only player in the post-Michael Jordan era who knows how to make both his teammates better and when to take over." End of quote. What he did in the regular season was great, but what he did in the playoffs was iconic. The numbers indicate that there hasn't been any other player in the history of the sport that meant more to a championship winning team. This playoff run features the highest win shares in playoff history. He earned an impressive 5.9 win shares. Then he recorded the 2nd highest value over replacement player rating, the 2nd most blocks recorded, and the 8th most rebounds. Here's what else he accomplished. He led the team in 4 of the 5 main statistical categories. That includes points, rebounds, assists, and blocks per game. He also became the 3rd player since the merger to win a title while being the only player on the team to average more than 15 points per game in the playoffs. For some reason, Duncan gets an unfair rep for not being individually dominant consistently, but this playoff run has a multitude of legendary performances. There's no other way to explain how he was able to end the Shaq and Kobe dynasty in the semifinals. This was the same team that knocked them out in the previous 2 postseasons. This was his golden opportunity to stick it to Phil Jackson. These 2 rivals traded blows for the first 4 games. After the Lakers experienced a heartbreaking loss in Game 5, Tim decided to go for the kill. He started out punishing Robert Horry on the post with his array of low post moves. I'm sure Big Shot Bob saw glimpses of his old teammate Hakeem Olajuwon when he saw Tim make shots like these over him. After a while, the Lakers decided to put Shaq on him. I was able to appreciate how he went right at him instead of settling for jumpers. He put his body on him, and he was seeking to use his quickness and length to his advantage. It was a masterful performance. He finished the game with 37 points on 64% shooting, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. If that series wasn't tough enough, he then had to face Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and the Dallas Mavericks. They were the best offensive team in the league. They finished first in points and offensive rating. Aside from the star duo of Dirk and Nash, they also had capable scorers such as Michael Finley and Nick Van Exel. Duncan knew that he needed to step up his scoring game to defeat this team. For the first 3 games, he showed what he was capable of. Take Game 1, for instance, when he recorded 40 points on 70% shooting, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. Despite those numbers, the Spurs lost by 3 points, so he decided to crank up the defensive intensity. In Game 3, he stuffed up the stat sheet. He had 34 points on 63% shooting, 24 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 blocks, and 2 steals. He also contained Dirk to 15 points on 35% shooting. In the previous game, he was limited to 23 points on 42% shooting. As all the greats have done, he took charge on both ends of the floor. Unfortunately for NBA fans, Dirk injured his knee in the 4th quarter of Game 3 and missed the rest of the series. We were robbed of watching these legends battle each other out for the entire series. With him out, the Spurs eliminated Dallas in 6 games and advanced to the finals. His series against the Nets is widely considered one of the greatest in NBA Finals history. He averaged 24.2 points on 50% shooting, 17 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 5.3 blocks per game. Game 1 was one of his better performances, as he finished with 32 points on 65% shooting, 20 rebounds, 7 blocks, 6 assists, and 3 steals. However, his Game 6 performance might be his best game ever, and it just might be the greatest finals performance. He had the ridiculous stat line of 21 points on 47% shooting, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 blocks. His best stretch came in the 4th quarter, with the Spurs down by 8 points. The Spurs were able to score 31 points for the period, and it was largely thanks to his playmaking ability. He also added 3 blocks to keep the Nets scoreless during their 19-0 run. The numbers were the farthest from his mind, but the crazy part is that he had an unofficial quadruple-double in a title-clinching game. He deserves credit for that. Javi Perez from Kenneth 5 San Antonio listed all the blocks that Duncan had that were recorded, but he showed the blocks that he had on Kerry Kittles and Richard Jefferson that were not counted. The dude had 10 blocks. No other player has ever recorded a quadruple-double in the postseason, let alone in the finals. For a postseason run that is filled with all-time great numbers, he topped it off with the greatest statistical finals game. That's why, for many people, this is considered the greatest season by a player from start to finish. He reached a level of basketball that has rarely been seen, and it was the only way the Spurs would have won the title. But what about you all? What do you remember the most from that season? Do you think this is the greatest season by a player? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.